This episode is brought to you by Redfin. You're listening to a podcast, which means you're probably multitasking. Maybe even scrolling home listings on Redfin, saving homes without expecting to get them. But Redfin isn't just built for endless browsing. It's built to help you find and own a home. With agents who close twice as many deals, when you find the one, you've got a real shot at getting it. Get started at redfin.com. Own the dream.
Listen, all you New Yorkers. Excuse me, taxi. Okay, we're looking around.
This is the 77 WABC minicast.
Sunday morning, Memorial Day. With us today is Nicole Parker, and she was with the FBI for quite a few years, and she was a special agent for them, and she wrote a book, The Two FBIs, Bravery and Betrayal, and she saw it all. Well, Memorial Day weekend, where do you want to start, Nicole?
Well, first of all, I want to start by honoring our fallen heroes that have served our nation in our military and the armed services. We owe everything to them because we all know that freedom is not free. You mentioned my book, The Two FBIs, and there's a portion of my book where I talk about someone named David Frazier, and he was in the Army, and he was a top graduate from West Point. He ran on their cross-country team. He studied engineering. He had a very bright future. And David was like a little brother to me. He grew up with me in Houston, Texas. He was best friends with my younger brother, and he went and served our nation. And he was on his way back home, actually, to Texas. You know, he had about a week left, and he paid the ultimate sacrifice when he was blown up by an IED in Iraq, November of 2006. And so to me, Memorial Day is not just a day to have barbecues and get together with friends and celebrate. It really is a sacred day that we need to honor our heroes. And I talk about David in my book and the influence and impact that he made on me, watching him and his service and what he did for our nation. He really was an inspiration to me to want to go ahead and apply to the FBI when I did in 2009, and I did get in 2010, and then I went on to serve for over a dozen years. And so, first of all, I'd like to just talk about Memorial Day and say that we owe everything to our armed service members and those that paid the ultimate sacrifice. You will never, ever be forgotten.
Now, you wrote the book, The Two FBIs. Tell me about the two FBIs and what you want to say about them.
Well, I really loved being an FBI special agent. In addition to being inspired by David Frazier, like I said, who served in the Army, I also was a witness to the 9/11 terrorist attacks. And as you know, we're coming up on the 25th year anniversary of that. And that was something that changed my life. I was working for Merrill Lynch at the time. I was working in the World Financial Center. I was on the top floor at the North Tower, the World Financial Center, when the first tower was hit. And then, obviously, we went on to watch the second tower be hit, and it was an absolutely terrifying moment. And I detail it quite vividly in my book. It was terrifying, and it was, again, a life-changing moment for me to watch people in total desperation jumping to their deaths. And I knew that one day I wanted to go back and serve. I was inspired by David. I was inspired by those from NYPD, FDNY, the Port Authority Police Department, all of those that rescued thousands of people the morning of September 11th. And I also saw others, jumping to their deaths, and those that went to go try to rescue them who also paid the ultimate sacrifice to protect others. And so going to the FBI, that was what I was there for. I wanted to serve my country, and I got there, and that's what I did. But, with time, particularly I would say around 2016, I started to notice that the FBI was politically weaponized. And I would say it was James Comey coming out on July 5th of 2016, talking about how no reasonable prosecutor would charge Hillary Clinton for her misuse and mishandling of classified information. And at that point, I knew that he had taken a political stance and had kind of veered out of his lane as what an FBI director should do. And as we know, that led into the Russia collusion hoax. They wanted to distract everyone from what Hillary Clinton did, and they, shuffled things over to try to grab people's attention and have them focus on what they said was the Trump campaign colluding with the Russians, which they understood, and we now know that that was all a hoax. But they went to great lengths to try to take certain individuals down, certain people on certain sides of the political spectrum, particularly President Trump, his supporters, conservatives. And as time went on at the FBI,
Nicole, let me ask one question. Were these these people that tried to take Trump down, were they career FBI people or were they politically appointed people?
So FBI 1 are the good, solid FBI agents and staff. FBI 2 are those that were politically and socially weaponized, that were, using their law enforcement power to push their political agendas. So FBI 2 would be those individuals that you're referring to that were doing the wrong thing for the wrong reasons and didn't have pure motives. Some of them were, a lot of them were career individuals at the FBI. Some of them were support staff members. Some of them were special agents. Some of them were at headquarters in Washington, D.C. It went from the top all the way down to the bottom. And it was those that were abusing their power and going after political opponents. That's when things started to go off the rails at the FBI. And then as time progressed, particularly in 2020, 2021, going into the Biden administration, when they were sending the SWAT team for January 6th misdemeanor takedowns, but yet my best friend in the FBI was shot and killed in the line of duty executing a warrant for a child predator, and there was no SWAT protection for her. But yet they were liberally sending SWAT for January 6th misdemeanors for political intimidation. And so that was it was tragic. It was terrible. But to see how the weaponization was not only causing destruction of people's lives as far as, going after January 6th people that really shouldn't have been charged in the first place, there were actually loss of life and things of that sort that I believe were a direct reflection of
especially January 6th. Do you believe that it was career people or there were politically appointed people?
No, I think, I personally think FBI too. I think, there aren't many politically appointed individuals at the FBI. You've got the director and then everyone else at the FBI. They've been there for years. And that's why it's important to note that going in and trying to clean up the FBI, a lot of those people have been there 15, 20, 25 years. And so it's a very daunting and difficult task. And a lot of people think it was just those at headquarters, but frankly, I believe that the political weaponization started at the top and it trickled down all the way to the field offices, all the way down to support staff and analysts, certain individuals that just did not do the right thing for the right reasons. That is what FBI 2 consists of. But at the same time, FBI 1 was doing real work. I was working violent crime. We were working mass shootings. We were working human trafficking, trying to save and protect children. That's what the real agents were doing. And the important thing is that the FBI needs to get back on track, and there just needs to be one FBI. FBI 1 and the political and social weaponization should not even be a part of the FBI. It needs to be apolitical, and they need to do the right thing for the right reasons.
Nicole Parker, thank you for coming on this Sunday morning. Happy Memorial Day, and remember the friends we have lost always, and we'll talk again real soon.
Thank you so much, and God bless.